Hello, everybody. Welcome to Geology. Thanks for tuning in. So I decided with this lab, I looked at what you guys have done. It's looking great, right? I decided to say, hey, first week, let's just keep it easy. I'm just going to throw a couple more questions out there, and we'll call it good. At some point, we do have to figure out, hey, how is it that we've gone and figured all of this stuff out? This is right in that module you guys have open. How do we know all this? How have we put this together? So we've got some things to do there. And I was tempted to try to cram that into this lab, but I think first week we still got people trying to get used to what's going on here. Let's just make it very simple and move forward. So what we'll do with this one is say, okay, here's the whole timeline. Let's go. You guys just did the basically like Paleozoic, Mesozoic, Cenozoic, right? Let's get a little bit more specific and get into the periods. And I think the easier one to use for what I'm going to have you do is going to be the New York State or Science Reference Table one. So again, this is right out of your week one folder here, that ESP 89. I should make that a better title, but here it is. That's out of your reference tables when you were a high school student, if you were one in New York. Let's shoot through how to use this real quick, and then I got a couple of questions that we'll add into the lab. And what I'm going to do is count basically those questions and like what you submitted into the discussion post as the lab. And as long as you're doing it, the grade's gonna be fine. If you haven't joined us yet, come on, jump in. So how this one works, we've got the whole entire history of the planet from 4,600 million years ago, that's 4.6 billion, up to 0 million years ago today, with 88% of that being Precambrian and the Paleo, Meso, and Cenozoic occupying the last 12%. Right, but now we're going to break it down and say, okay, each one of those is broken into periods. Now we've got better, like, I don't know if accuracy is the right word, better like resolution with more recent rocks, the last 12%, because the rocks, the record of rock is less mangled up. These very, very old rocks would have been beat up by the rock cycle over and over again. So we've got a better resolution. We're able to get a little bit more accurate view of what's been going on more recently. Also, a lot of these divisions are based on important events in the history of life. So like the end of the Permian was a gigantic extinction, almost ended life entirely. The end of the Mesozoic, probably the one that people are most familiar with, the extinction of the dinosaurs, right? Different periods are broken up for different reasons, geologically or life-wise. So all I'm going to have you do on this is answer some, like, they're literally scans of high school regents questions, just to, like, again, I want the first week to be pretty easy and just get everybody on board. So what they'll kind of rotate around is how long ago did XYZ happen? What period might it have been during? And if you need to get more accurate with your numbers, right? Because your numbers over here are kind of hard to use. What you can do is zoom in over here. See this thin line right here that has millions of years ago? So this we can say, hey, the Silurian went from 443 million years ago up to 418 million years ago. And sometimes people get confused because those feel backwards, right? But 443 is when it began. That was a longer time ago. 418 is when it ended. Then they'll list in here stuff that happened with life on Earth. And then let me jump way over, because kind of similar concept. If it's something that's a geologic event, that'll be listed here. What else we got? This column in the middle, and there was a question on this that I stuck in there. These black lines represent, like, say this one's trilobites. It's a type of organism. This one's nautiloids. The ones that you're maybe more familiar with. Dinosaurs are that. Mammals are that. There's little letters on here that will say, hey, more specifically, that dinosaur, letter L, lived exactly then. Coelophysis. But dinosaurs as a whole group lasted that whole entire time. Okay, so the questions, when you see them, it may be like, it's not going to be something that pops in your head like, oh yeah, I know the answer to that. It's going to be something that you go and you look onto here, you monkey around with it, and you try to figure it out by looking at the animals, how long they've lived, geologic events, biologic events, and then the periods and the times. Okay, so while they may look initially confusing, they're doable if you just take a few minutes with this chart. I'm not asking you to memorize any of this. We're still just kind of saying, here's the experience. let's play with it a little bit and figure it out. Sound good? All right. So what I'm, I guess, slightly worried about. First, I'm chucking Cami. Nobody said they know how to use it, so let's not try to learn new software. It's gone. We'll try to work with things that you've worked before. So what I did was I made the lab, quote unquote, a Google Doc. Now, I'm not exactly sure how this is all going to work. I'm hoping that A, it shares well with you, that you can just open it right here and it pops right up, and B, that it makes your own copy. Because if it doesn't, and one person like does the lab and puts all the answers in, then you're going to have all those when you open up. If that's the case, obviously it's my fault. I'm not going to punish you guys for it. Here, I'll go to student view, so maybe it looks a little bit more like what it will look like from your end. So you're going to click that. It's going to say, hey, did you do the other stuff? If not, go back and do that, please. And then you'll just take your answers and type it here. If you think it's choice one, just put that or answer one, something like that. Again, I'm hoping that it makes an individual copy for everybody. If not, then that's on me, and we'll figure out how to fix it next time. Okay. Should be pretty easy. And again, what you did in the discussion post is going to be part of the grade, and what you do on those couple of questions should be pretty quick, will be part of the grade. And then next week we'll see how all that worked, and probably turn up the heat a little bit more. This is a pretty easy first week, but that's okay. We got to get used to it. All right. What do you think? Sound good? All doable? Hope so. And for everybody that did the timeline, things are looking cool. Like you did what I was looking for, and hopefully it helped you make sense of it a little bit. If you haven't done the timeline, come on board. Join with us. This survival guide up here will take you through the steps that you need to get started with the first week. All right, everybody. Thank you very much. We will talk to you soon.